Time now for the week that was. Let's take a look at the top stories that made headlines around the globe this week. Starting with the federal government has rejected the European Union's final report on the 2023 general elections, denouncing it as a poorly done desk job. In a statement, the president's special advisor, Dele Alake, accuses the EU of bias and unfounded claims. He stresses that the elections, especially the presidential election, won by Bola Ahmed Tinubu of the All Progressives Congress, were credible, peaceful, and well organized. The EU mission presented its report on the general election on Tuesday, citing what it called enduring systemic weaknesses in the polls. It also identified 6 key areas for improvement in Nigeria's electoral process. Now, this was one particular story that, made the headlines this week. And I think apart from the report in itself, which has taken, quite a while, I'm sure they needed their time to look at all the information that they got during the general elections to kind of put forward a summary of the events as well as recommendations. But what really, stirred the pot was the president's reaction to it. Saying it was a poorly done desk job. It's not to be taken seriously.
The presidencies.
Not to be taken seriously. And what I get from that as a citizen of this country is I understand that people will have a look at the general elections through different lens. But we can all agree that right now in Nigeria, our electoral process is definitely marred with inconsistencies. There are things that can be done better. So the body language that I was expecting from the presidency, the current administration, was, okay, we've seen this report. We're going to take this recommendation seriously. We're going to take it back to the chopping block and see how we can take some of these recommendations and implement them, as opposed to just coming out and saying, oh, it's a lie, it's not this, it's no. Now, like, you have to at least let the people know that you are taking this recommendation seriously. Earlier this week, I spoke to Mr. Bayo, who used to be a member of the presidential campaign team. And I remember Aaron asked him point blank that, do you believe that this report is a farce? Do you believe that this report is not true? And he actually did confirm that, no, of course there are things in there that are true, but we have to also take it with a pinch of salt when international bodies come and give us reports, because they are coming from a biased standpoint. Well, I don't believe that to be true. This report has gone out. In fact, there have been reports that have gone out even before this. It's up to the current administration. If you remember that when the later President Musa Yar'Adua came in, he did say that this process that brought me here was flawed. And then I will make sure while I'm in office, I will do everything within my power to fix it. And we did see his input into our electoral reforms. So why can't the current administration do that? This report is out. It's out there for anybody to read and, the public to read and to see that there were, in fact, things that we can do better.
Well, Shaitan, I understand you, but it's also necessary to understand, where the presidency is coming from. This was a hotly contested election, and it's obvious that because at least the three major political parties are still in court contesting the outcome of the election, it is expected that the presidency will want to insist, that the election was not flawed in the manner that people are saying that it was flawed, and especially in the manner in which the European Union contingent, are saying. That's understandable. But then will that resonate among many Nigerians? I think, it's up for debate, really. What is not in doubt is the fact that there were issues with the election, with the last election. Clearly there were issues. If there were no issues, both the PDP and the Labour Party will not be in court challenging the outcome. And I understand what the presidency is saying when they say that it is credible, peaceful, and well, well organized. It's because they are the beneficiary of, of the election. However, I think what is important really is to acknowledge and possibly applaud the fact that a body like that of the European Union deemed it fit to be thorough in what they have done. And like you read out, at least 6 of the recommendations are important. Whether President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will be inclined to want to accept it or not, just like Musa Yar'Adua during his own time, acknowledge it and agree. It's left for him to decide, but I think it will never leave the annals of Nigeria's political history what happened in many areas. And I think that when the European Union is saying that it was flawed, they were not just referring to one political party. I think that they're also referring to issues in PDP-dominated areas, as well as issues even in the Labour Party-dominated area, all-encompassing. And therefore, it is important that the presidency, should take contrary views easy. Because this is something that we can see. How many people will ever forget of, if you are denied your right to go out and vote, especially when you are being denied on the basis of who you are, where you come from, or the type of name that you have. So what will be worse is the sort of a thing that we saw in Abuja, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, when people now marched to the European Union office to say that they are protesting. I think that was needless, and whoever was behind that is not doing justice to the image of the presidency. I think that is not the way to go. However, the report is out, and let Nigerians decide. It is in the annals of history.
Definitely.
All right. Also this week, Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu met with the newly appointed security chiefs. State House correspondent Adesu Amorua reports that the president tasked the security chiefs to collaborate and secure the country.
Back to Abuja from his trip to Paris, London and Lagos, President Tinubu receives and ordains security chiefs at the presidential villa led by the National Security Advisor. It is the president's first interaction with the newly appointed heads of security agencies, as their appointments were announced on the eve of his trip to Paris on June 19. After the closed-door meeting, which lasted about an hour, it came to light that the president charged the security chiefs to collaborate to address security challenges.
Gave us the assurance that he is with us 100%. He told us that we must work as a team, and there is a work to be done. He will expect us to deliver, and we are grateful for the opportunity. That's why we are here.
From the north to the south of the country, the administration faces the daunting task of securing lives and property, a task the security chiefs acknowledge.
We believe that the choice he made is the right one, the correct one. And we know what he wants for this country. We are going to work tirelessly to ensure that we accomplish that objective of securing our country, establishing peace, stability, and let's get our lives back. And you can see already things are improving in our country. If you see the record of crimes and activities of the criminals, it's going down. It will continue to go down. We will secure this place. Nigerians have seen the quality of people that are given opportunity. They are probably some of the best we have, and they are not going to fail.
Prior to the security meeting, President Bola Tinubu also met with former Zamfara State Governor Sani Yerima. It came to light that they discussed the possibility of deploying dialogue to arrest the issue of banditry in the northern part of the country, drawing inspiration from the approach deployed by late President Musa Yar'Adua with militants in the Niger Delta region.
The best way to go about these bandits, handling the issue of bandits, should be introduction of dialogue first. But as I said, if that fails, then the government will go all out to eliminate them. Why I say we should start discussing with them is to avoid the collateral damages that may come up if intensive and extensive military operations are directed. If you send an aircraft now to where you identify the bandits, it's not only the bandits that will be affected. And if you recall, President Umar Musa Adwa had similar interaction with the militants in Niger Delta, and it was successful.
In addition, the president had a meeting with a delegation from the Shell Petroleum Development Company, led by the Global Upstream Director. In a statement released by Special Advisor on Communications, the president assured the investors of policy consistency and emphasized Nigeria's readiness for business. He also welcomed additional investments in the country's oil and gas sector, recognizing their significance in fulfilling government obligations. The statement reportedly says the SPDC delegation praised the administration's efforts and expressed confidence that the bold steps taken by the government would enhance Nigeria's appeal as an attractive investment destination. From the presidential villa, Adesua Omoruan, Arise News.
All right. The villa has been busy, isn't it? You know,
the villa is bustling with activity.
With activities. Just like a lot of people will say that maybe we've seen the inside of the villa in 5 weeks of Tinubu, you know, than maybe
the entire 8 years of
Buhari. You know, but there's a bit of hyperbole there. But I think what is important is that the first meeting, a crucial meeting with the security chiefs, you know, held, and we saw Nuri Badu, the main man, as far as security is concerned, under this administration, you know, giving his words of assurance that they are up to the task and that everybody will work as a team. I think that it will be a kind of a burden on him personally. Yes, he's got the background in policing, but then everybody knows that as the czar of EFCC in those days, he was more into financial crimes and economic crimes. But this time around, his duty is not just to look, you know, to go after people who are messing up the financial space, but to secure the entire country and to work with the security chiefs to make sure that you know, is achieved. So I like the style. I like the way he has come forward to say that, yes, I will represent well and I will work well with all these, you know, army chiefs, just like the president promised that they would deliver. So I'm sure that meeting, you know, based on convention, will be a monthly thing, except, of course, there are emergency ones. And I think that Nigerians can at least, you know, give him and the team the benefit of the doubt to see how things will pan out. But what the former governor of Zamfara, Yerima, was saying about negotiation, this is something that the president, you know, with the advice from the National Security Advisor and the army chiefs, you know, will have to decide if that is the right way to go. I'm not sure that was high on the agenda of the former president, Muhammadu Buhari. He cited that of Yaradua in negotiating with the militants in the Niger Delta. This time around, who will they be negotiating with? The terrorists or the bandits or the people who are responsible for all the atrocities in his own, you know, home state of Zamfara? But again, this is a matter of, you know, security and intelligence, and we'll see how that will pan out in the days and weeks and months to come.
Definitely. I mean, you've touched on most everything, but just looking at the body language, as you said, of the new service chiefs, really confident, you know, coming on board, ready to run, and they do have their work cut out for them. And at the end of the day, they will be judged by their results. We're looking at insurgency, banditry, herder clashes, agitations in the southeast, and of course, crude oil theft. So they really need to take the advice of, you know, President Bola Bola Ahmed Tinubu when he said that there has to be synergy. You know, it's like an orchestra. Everybody has to play their part so that the symphony, so that insecurity in itself will come down. But I think it's very interesting that we're seeing the former governor of Zamfara State suggesting to the presidency that they should first engage in dialogue with bandits rather than use military force. He sees it as the best way to address insecurity in Nigeria.
So that you can reduce collateral damage,
well, honestly, I believe that it should be a case of brute force. These are camps and bodies that have terrorized our nation for years to come. They have killed people. They have turned, they've broken families. They've turned daughters and sons into orphans. You know, so I don't know. It just doesn't sit well with me. I don't believe that our military at this point should be having conversations with anybody. They should be looking at the at the body language of the service chiefs and start putting their houses in order. That, okay, we now have new people to deal with. How are we going to gradually, find our way out of here? But if they believe that there's a chance that we're going to come in and have conversations, I don't know, it just doesn't send across the right, the right message as far as I'm concerned. But like you said, the service chiefs know better. They have the experience and they know exactly how to go about it.
Absolutely.
And just very quickly, he did say that we're beginning to see insecurity come down. I really hope that that's the case. This week, I did hear about a number of people, friends and even close relatives that were robbed or that were attacked in traffic. So it's coming down, but we're still seeing pockets of insecurity all across.
Robberies as a result of social insecurity is rising, and that's a major area that they will have to look at.
Definitely, couldn't have said it better. But let's move on now to our next story. To address concern raised by manufacturers and other stakeholders regarding recent tax changes, President Bola Tinubu has signed 4 executive orders, including the Finance Act Order 2023. This defers the commencement date of the changes contained in the Act from May 23, 2023 to September 1st, 2023. Special Advisor to the President on Special Duties, Communications and Strategy, Dele Alake, says this is to ensure the Act aligns with the 90-day notice period required by the National Tax Policy.
President Bola Tinubu, in fidelity to the pledge to put Nigerians at the center of government policies, has signed the following executive orders. Executive Order 1, the Finance Act, Effective Date Variation Order 2023, has now deferred the commencement date of the changes contained in the Act from May 28, 2023 to September 1, 2023. This is to ensure adherence to the 90 days minimum advance notice for tax changes as contained in the 2017 National Tax Policy. Executive Order 2, the Customs Excise Tariff Variation Amendment Order 2023. This has also shifted the commencement date of the tax changes from March 27, 2023 to August 1, 2023, and also in line with the National Tax Policy. Order 3. The President has given an order suspending the 5% tax on telecommunication services as well as the excise duties escalation on locally manufactured goods. 4. Further to his commitment to creating a business-friendly environment, the President has ordered the suspension of the newly introduced green tax by way of excise tax on single-use plastics, including plastic containers and bottles. In addition, the President has ordered the suspension of import tax adjustment levy on certain categories of vehicles.
Our aim is not to tax production. Our aim is to increase our productive activity, capacity to produce. Then we can tax our consumption. And that is the direction of our economic planning. And then we want to increase the trust that we have in government. And if you observe what has happened in the last few days, the last few months that we've been here, we've kept to our word. Part of what we are doing today, just to increase this trust that we are here to do what is the best for the country.
All right. Also this week, Senator Opeyemi Bamidele from Ekiti Central was named Majority Leader for the 10th Assembly. Meanwhile, Senator Simon Nwakwon from Plateau North assumes the position of Minority Leader, edging out former Governor of Sokoto and the former Speaker of the House, Aminu Tambuwa. However, as Senate correspondent Omo Bazwai reports, the appointments have created some controversy.
The leadership of the 10th Senate assumed its full complement with the announcement of principal officers as lawmakers return to plenary on Tuesday after a short Salah break. Speculations have been widespread that the position of Senate leader will be between two illustrious candidates of the All Progressive Congress APC, Senator Opeyemi Bamidele from Ekiti Central and Senator Ali Ndume from Benue South.
APC, the All Progressive Congress, caucus of the Senate, after due consultations, have emerged with their leadership, which will be the fulcrum of commencing other businesses in the chambers.
For the plenary on Tuesday, President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, announced the man from Ekiti, Opeyemi, as the majority leader, ahead of Ndume, who served as his campaign director for Senate presidency. Opeyemi is believed to be a strong political ally of President Bola Tinubu. Former Governor of Ebonyi State, Dave Umahi, the first-time senator, takes the position of Deputy Majority Leader, leaving Ndume with the position of Majority Chief Whip. The position of Deputy Majority Whip went to Senator Lola Ashiru from Kwara State. The Senate President also announced the principal officers for the Minority Caucus with the surprise naming of Senator Simon Davo, himself a first-time senator from Plateau North, as Minority Leader, ahead of former Governor of Sokoto State, who is perceived in many quarters to be in the pole position to have taken the seat. Davo came from the House of Representatives, and that makes him ranking enough for the position. His deputy will be Senator Oyewumi Olalure from the People's Democratic Party in Osun West. The minority principal offices were, however, shared among three of the opposition political parties, but not without grumbling from some senators who felt left out in the equation.
You didn't know that they were signing signatures, we were taking signatures? I knew. Nobody called me, nobody sent me even an SMS.
No, I'm not okay because we have 8 senators represented in the Senate, in the 10th Senate. The other party that got it has only 2. PDP had 2. PDP had 2 with over 30 senators.
The position of Senate Minority Chief Whip was taken by Labour Party Darlington Nwokocha from Abia State, while the new Nigerian People's Party Senator Rufai Hanga from Kano State is the Deputy Minority Whip.
It's not everybody who will become a leader or join the leadership of the Senate. If you look at it, 8. Only 8 people were elected to the leadership now, plus the Senate President and the Deputy Senate President.
But the list read by Akpabio did not come from the political parties. They came from the party caucuses, whether minority or majority.
With respect to APC, let me put it this way. Everything is in order. And let me assure you again, what was read today was a consensus list.
With the appointment of the principal officers now completed, the 10th Senate can now begin to drive its legislative agenda. Omo Bazwai, Arise News.
All right, Shaito, 2 important stories there. First, from the part of the president signing for executive, orders, basically on tax-related matters and the allowance that he gives to people before the orders will take effect. Everything in line with the national tax policy. I like the fact that the president reiterated the issue of the 5% tax on telecoms and excise duty, which I think President Muhammadu Buhari, originally sort of signed, before he left. But I mean, all good. It simply means that the presidency, whether of yesterday or of today, are thinking along the line that it is important to make sure that burdens are lessened, for Nigerians and for the people, especially now that we're dealing with two, double-headed issues of what's it called? Fuel subsidy and the floating, of the naira.
Yeah.
For the principal officers in the Senate, now I think that the Senate can
Get
roll.
to work.
Exactly,
Thank
get
you.
to work. All the principal officers have been, elected. And Okoyemi Bamidele, an ally of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, looks to me like he's a man of history. If you look at the last campaign in Ekiti State, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu did announce there to say, give me Okoyemi Bamidele to come and work with me in Abuja when he was campaigning for him to return to the Senate. And here he is, not only has he returned to the Senate, he's now the majority, leader. And it's also nice that all the little issues at least from the part of the APC, has now gone down with the chairman, Abdullahi Adamu, saying that, okay, we've met with the president and we are okay with all the decisions, even though we were not very comfortable initially. But here we are, it's one party and one goal.
I mean, the biggest takeaway very quickly for me is the spread, how we're actually seeing more minority parties be part of this selection of principal officers. I think it's a new dawn, of course. And then like you've also said, the focus now should be the legislative agenda.
Absolutely.
Going forward. How are they going to make sure that they are helping their constituents and they're helping Nigeria as a whole? And to just quickly touch back on the tax story, I remember seeing this animation or this illustration during the week where you could see President Tinubu squeezing. You could see blood dropping into the bowl of taxes. I'm hoping that this, these 4 executive orders that have been signed would at least reduce the pressure. He said it, let the poor breathe. So hopefully we can breathe, because I'm seeing myself as part of the 80%. Well, that's all on the week that was.